time. So I'm actually going to join in someone that I'm actually working with, and his name is Andre Lewinson. We're going to be talking about some pretty interesting topic. Bear with me, y'all, because I am still getting used to all this. You know, like this Instagram live thing is so cool, but it's definitely so useful that we could use it to our own advantage to do some creative things. So actually, I'm going to be talking about some hot topics that's going on right now in our community, especially in the African American community. Is like it's crazy what's going on so far in our world today, and we see some very crazy things happening around us. Some of them secretly going on, but it's pretty interesting how we can actually talk and get through some of this because it's a lot going on, y'all. I mean, it's really a lot on children. A lot of the students right now going through it. It's great to be quarantined at home, still with the family, and you get to still chill at home with the family, but it has its good and its bad. But as African Americans right now, we see a lot going on, and one of the big things that I see going on is that it brings tears to my eyes sometimes, but it's the reality. Now, one of my hot topic is: do you think African Americans are still actually in bondage right now? Like, do you still think African Americans are currently in bondage in our today's world? Back then, things was different. Like Martin Luther King Day, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X. Things were so different back then. But do you think that we still see a lot of it going on right now? Like, do you think that people walk around in chains, slavery, and stuff like that? It's really interesting because hey there, Andre, welcome. I'm glad that you tuned in. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna actually try to. I'm still getting used to this, y'all. So yeah, so we see our African Americans going through slavery. Hi, Andre, what's going on, brother?
Hi, how are you? I'm good. And you?
Welcome, welcome.
Thanks, thanks. Indeed, it's a
Yeah,
pleasure.
yeah, that's awesome. So actually, I started our live. Um,
Mhm.
it's really interesting. So our hot topic today is: do we think African Americans are still in bondage at this time?
Yes, that's a really good topic to go into, especially in this time that is going on around the world right now.
Yeah, basically, I think that African Americans are still in bondage. Um, so, like, what do you feel about what's going on right now? Like, one of my questions for you, I mean, I'm probably gonna elaborate a little bit more myself, but what is your perspective right now on the whole Black Lives Matter thing? Like, what, do you think that it's every African American should be actually protesting right now with what's going on in our today's world, like Black Lives Matter? What's your perspective on it?
In fact, Diane, that's a really good question. First of all, when you look into it, what is really going on in this world right now with the Black Lives Matter thing around the world that's been taking place? Um, I personally think, actually, it's my opinion that um, I do support with them. I do support them fully, 100% at what by defending their rights, their beliefs, their customs, and by defending what they believe in, And but I do not support some of the things that they brought um, into the protests. I believe in peaceful protests, and so far they are doing so many violent things, looting the stores and so forth. So I do not support the looting aspect of it. However, I do support the unity. And as I go into that part, which is the unification of black people on a whole, um, as we look back in the slavery over the couple of hundred of years ago, where we were in bondage, and enslaved in chains, being beaten, and whipped and so forth. But we always unite only when we have a problem, and we are totally fed up about it.
That's
Just
true.
right, just like then in the slavery times, we were fed up of being the abusement. We were fed up of being beaten and in chains and in
Hmm.
chains. You know, and that's why then they decided to unite as one to defend and their freedom and to become free. And so now in this situation, they decide to unite as one as well because they're also fed up of the situation, fed up of the injustice in the system, the judicial system, the racism, you know, all of those negative attributes that we are facing as black people.
Yeah, you made some very strong points, and it's yeah, with the whole looting thing. I mean, it's right now African Americans are very angry, and that's another hot topic question that I have for you. Do you think that African Americans actually are more prone with anger and mental problems? Because I've heard that um they have, I've heard that people say, oh, African Americans are more prone to have mental illnesses, and because they're prone because they have a lot of anger, suppressed anger problems.
Actually, for me, I didn't believe that we as African Americans or Africans on a whole has particularly a mental problem. The thing is that I believe that if someone has a mental problem, maybe it's because of heredity, maybe
Okay.
it's some sort of sickness that they have mentally. It's not about like we all have mental problems. Every race around the world has such issues, and issues that can be dealt with um by using medicine. However, as regards to anger, the part of anger, of course, who wouldn't be angry after so many years, in bondage and
Right. Oh yeah.
enslaved, you know, in chains, who have been whipped, you know, throughout the centuries. Who wouldn't be angry after all those injustice that is we're facing in the system, after all those trials that we're going through in the workplace, and because we as black girls we suffer severely, in those areas. It's harder for us to get a job. It's harder to get to certain schools because of the credentials that they require. And even if we do have the credentials, it's really harder because they rather accept those with um you know different color or so. So that's a thing where we have been facing over the centuries, over each era that we have passed through. And these are some of the things that we need to look on seriously because it is it is indeed impacting our lives severely in a negative way.
Yeah, you made some strong points as well on that because we do see that, and unfortunately I think, I mean, I agree with the anger problem thing because see, African Americans, we got some thick skin. We have
Yes.
some very thick skin. We could really, I tell you, some things that we could tolerate, and and thankful to our ancestors, and a lot of the people that we was raised around, our grandparents, great grandparents, our, so many, our parents, and we got this thick skin, so many of us that we know how to tolerate some stuff. And unfortunately, it's like, it's so sad to see that in our today's world, maybe in some states and some countries, African Americans are still being actually um like brutalized, punished, and I think it's definitely going on a lot. Maybe not seen, but not as much as it used to be back in probably like the 60s, 70s, 50, back 40s, back then. But I believe that there is still a lot going on with that, and it's unfortunate that we still have to go through this, but we came a long way. The good thing is that I think it's much much better for us now compared to what it used to be, thankfully to our ancestors who actually went through that pain and suffering, and to help open that door of freedom for us, um for us today, because just imagine walking around outside trying to go to the store, going about your business, trying to go to work, and you're worrying about some Caucasians who looking at you, and Ku Klux Klan. And we're not gonna get into that because I don't want to, I'm not judging, but just imagine going through that back then. You know and what they had to go through. But thankfully right now it's a little bit better for us, you know in our world today, so we don't have it as bad, but still it is going on. And I
Yes.
tell you, with
Dion, a point taken. You said something a while ago that back then, now it's not worse like back then, but I do have a point to say about on that, because when you look into it, I think now it's even worse than back then in the slavery days, because you know there's a quote from Don Luck. I don't know if you know about him. Is an online entrepreneur, a mentor, and a motivational speaker as well. And he made this quote. It says, the hardest prison to escape is the one in our minds. So the greatest prison that anyone could be in, is our mind. And if someone can have that grip, you know, on our mind in such a way that it influence our lives, influence our daily aspects of life, how we think, or perceive, how we do things, and so to be controlled in such a way by the system, and to be brainwashed uh, as regards to certain things, is even severely worse than being chained, being chained and in bondage back then, like in slavery. I
mm,
also quote two more quotes from a friend of mine. He's an online entrepreneur as well, and it says, "Your mind is a powerful thing. When you start to feed it with thoughts, your whole life will start to change." And that's coming from Luke Burrows. He also made another quote: "Adversity can be turned to opportunity simply by adjusting your perception and your attitude." You see, those words are so remarkable, so marvelous. And these are some of the things that we need to look at. How are we in bondage now in this era, in this day and age? How are we still in bondage? It may not be physically in chains, like we were in back then in the past, but we're in bondage of the mind. And that is the greatest weapon that we have. Our mind is the greatest weapon. It's also the most powerful thing we as humans have, and if someone can control that most powerful thing, you know, what can they not do, And we all have to look into that as well and ensure that we make the necessary steps to adjust our mindset, adjust our thinking, our way of life, and to become a better person,
yeah, you made some strong points, and I love those quotes. Wow, yes, I remember those quotes, and it's good to have those as affirmations to remember. And it's that's why I definitely think that African Americans, like I was saying, we got some thick skin, and we have tolerated a lot over the years, and we are strong people. And but one of the things that came to mind, and it's something that I see happening still, which is unfortunate, but it's something that we don't go around talking about too much at all as African Americans, but we see this happening in our own African American community. And what is your view on, do you think that African Americans actually are hating on each other? Like, do you still, like, you will see your own African American black kind. Some of our people are hating on us. Like, what? They be having this hate on us, and it's really sad. Like, you should be happy trying to uplift your other black brother, your other black sister. Some of them are so hating against their own black folks. What's your perspective on that?
Actually, then, you talk 100% fact, and I really like that question as well, because when you look into it, over the centuries, over the years, we as black people, we are never united. We're never united as one. Even back then, in the slavery times, if we were united, we couldn't have been, tricked in believing such things, and therefore been betrayed. and enslaved. However, even now, and from then until now, we are still not united. And that's why I'm not really with the protests that's been going on around the world right now, because if they have to wait until a specific moment to decide to unite, and what will happen after that um, process, after, like for instance, the persons who killed George Floyd, after they have been prosecuted and charged, will there be still unification among us, as black people? I don't think so, because directly after the prosecution will be done and those officers will be charged, you know, I don't think the Black Lives Matter is going to persist, for over the next coming 8 years, because what I realized based on studying history and in the past in slavery, we only unite when we are fed up of certain things, and it's not a persistent thing. So back in those in slavery, they united as one and fight for freedom. Now they're united as one and fight for justice. So it's the same thing when you look back, in history and intertwine. Our own people have been against our own. Why say Black Lives Matter if you don't really mean it? Because most of them, because most of us, we say Black Lives Matter. Of course, it does matter. All life matters. And if Black Lives Matter, then we have to stop killing our own people. We have to stop, you know, um, putting them down. Instead of doing such negative things among our own,
Mm.
starting to we need to start uplift each other. We need to start build each other, and that's how unification comes in. That's how unity comes in, and because unity is power, unity is wealth. As long as we have unity, we have wealth, we will have power, and that's why if Africa was united, as one, Africa would have been the whole continent would have been one of the most powerful nation around the world, and that's very true. If we were united as one, Africa would have been the most powerful and the most wealthiest of all countries in the world. But they're not united, and that's why they have been taken advantage of and been mistreated and are so-called say the poorest, continent in the world.
Well, you made some strong points. It's definitely, African Americans, it's like you said, and it's more like you think that we're kind of still segregated, like we're segregated against each other in
Yes,
some
exactly. Because
because some people are, and you wonder, like in some other ethnic groups, like you see them working together in their own community, supporting their own community, like their local businesses, supporting the schools. They support each other on a lot of things. um and in the African American community, you see a little bit less of that. You see a little bit less of that, and that's one of my things. I'm really grateful though, because we've seen a lot of African Americans. We do see some sticking together, but it's very rarely. And the ones that are, actually are trying and striving to uplift, build our community, stick together. It's really a beautiful thing to see that happening, especially in our world today. Because as African Americans at this time, and the world that we're living in now, we really need to be sticking together. And it's like, I mean, it's like so much brutal murders, right? Like we see the killings and stuff going on. We know every day we at risk anyway, but it's just beautiful to see those that are sticking together and trying to help support each other, especially through the pain and suffering that we all going through. Now my other question for you is, and I'm going to touch on your toes. Thank you everyone for joining in to the Grapevine Talk Show. Feel free to
yeah,
comment. We see some waves. Hi. We think this platform is a good platform for us to support each other, especially through this hard time that we're in, pandemic. With the whole COVID-19, a lot of people are stuck at home still, but it's a lot going on. and it's great that we could talk through it all and support each other. But we'll have different topics, not just pertaining to African Americans, but we wanted to talk about this today. So back to my question for you, Andre. You ready?
Yes. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so you know, do you think, like, what do you think about some of there are Caucasian people who are actually in supportive to the Black Lives Matter? Do you think that, I mean, some people say like we don't want these white people to be supporting us. They pretending, like they pretending that they support us, but they don't pretend it. They don't really mean it. Like, what do you think about other ethnic groups who are actually in support to the Black Lives Matter?
Well, Dean, when I look into it, there have always been persons who are on both sides, and sometimes we must not be biased at times. Sometimes we are, but there are white people, there are other races who actually love our race. They actually love blacks, and when you look into it, I don't see any problem as regards to them supporting us. However, on the other side, there are those who are actually pretending for real. If you really look into it, many maybe they say that they are with us, but actually they are against us. And even
Mm,
those who are actually supporting the rioting and the protests around the world right now, many of them may be fake pretenders as well. But
mm,
there are quite a few as well who are not pretending, who really want to see justice,
mm,
who has a lot of black friends, hanging out, in the bars or chilling, at a nice hotels or, having fun together, because I think unity is the great thing, not just unity within our race, but in all races.
yeah, that's true. It's yeah, that's I believe that as well, but I do believe that there are some Caucasians, like you say, you shouldn't be biased, but I think a lot of it is because a lot of our African Americans are very hurt, and
Exactly.
we've been called nigger, not that we've been called all types of names, and it's sometimes it's kind of hard, like especially if you live in certain communities, like if you live in a certain community and that's pretty much how, like we're pretty much the people that they tend to look down on a little bit more because of our skin color and certain things that we've been through, or they say that we're more prone to poverty. But we some strong people, but still, of course I could see why some African Americans will feel like, hey, some of these Caucasian people who are actually pretending to support us when they really don't care. So I'm not gonna like any Caucasian. So we don't want your support. We don't want your support about no Black Lives Matter because you really don't care. So I could see both sides, why a lot of African Americans could feel like that. Um, but and at the end of the day, we have to still, as the African Americans, we still have to keep an open mind. Um, you know, it's our people are hurt people. I think that's what it is. Our people are hurt people, and we've been through a lot. So, I mean, everybody has their different views, and that's a good thing about this type of show that we have, our talk show. The Grapevine Talk Show basically is a judgmental zone, right? So we anybody could share our opinions. We don't have to really agree. We're not gonna judge you or get mad or anything.
Exactly.
But right, it's pretty much to support each other, and a platform that we could open up and be real, instead of some of us don't want to be open up with other personal people that we know. We rather just speak about it this way. So you know but I have another hot topic question for you.
Okay.
And this is a
Shoot them
big
on.
one
Shoot them on.
because this one right here, we see it happening, but you know, very little we talk about this one too. I'm gonna step on some toes with this one. But yeah, so this is another question that I have for you, right? Okay, so how do you feel about African Americans that are into bleaching their skin complexion to become lighter. Like, you see a lot of African Americans. You hear about it, especially in some countries. Maybe like, I'm not gonna touch on the country that I'm from, but in my country where I'm from, in Jamaica, whatever, you see it happen in some parts of Africa too. But there's other countries. You do see African Americans. They are serious about spending tons of money to get their skin tone lighter.
Well, yeah,
What's your perspective on that?
yeah, Dan, that's a pretty good question. Come to think about it, and you know, back where I'm from as well. I think it's all has to do with our mindset, our way of thinking. And over the years, as I said, from slavery coming down, we were being brainwashed about, you know, which race is the inferior race, or which race is a more superior.
Mm-hmm.
And we were put in, we were actually, yeah, we were just brainwashed over the years on how we should operate, how we should think, which race is more superior. And because of that, we intend to,
Right.
over the years after slavery, we intend to keep that trend in our mind, in our mentality, and
Mm-hmm.
in our mindset. And because of that, when also in our mindset, and because of that, we we still prolong this um, enslavement mindset, saying that the white is the superior, or the whichever race is superior to our own. And because of
Mm.
that, we intend to doing these stuff such as bleaching our skin to become whiter, or browner, more light skinned or something.
Right.
So the worst thing is that we do not accept who we truly are, and that's a very very negative impact on our lives. If we cannot accept who we are, then what's the sense, of even living? And these are some of the things we also should look at, because even in our schools, how they trained us and how they taught us
Right.
during our school years is also to be in fear of the superior race. We were taught that we were the minority, um, and so forth, which is not so, because if we should count how many black persons is in this world, it's way over than many of the other races. Because Africa is one of the largest continents in the world. Apart from China, which has a couple billions, and India and those places. But yeah, when you look into it, even Asia, India, and so forth, they are black. Chinese. They say that Chinese are of yellow color. But yeah, if we look into it, there's a mixture as well as regards to their race. So I think it just all have to do with our mindset, our way of thinking, and because of that, our mindsets are not changed, or they're not willing to adapt to change, to accept their own color, to accept their own identity, because
Mm.
we're all different, in all aspects. And, even though we're different, that doesn't mean we're not one. We all came from the same place, and
Right.
so we all need to put that, in thinking, or in perception, that doesn't matter the race, doesn't matter the color, we're one, and we can move forward in unity as regards to that.
Wow. Very strong point. It's beautiful. Well said. I actually could add to what you're saying, and when it comes to bleaching the skin complexion in the African American community, it's really I didn't I remember once I've heard a young lady in her teens, she have a very dark pigment, very dark skin, beautiful dark skin. That's the thing with African Americans. We got some beautiful tones. Like we come in some beautiful tones, caramel, dark chocolate. you know, we have these different complexions, and it's just we're so unique. We have these unique complexions, and it's unfortunate that you know some of our people still think that what having a lighter complexion it makes you a better person than a person with a darker complexion, you know. But back to what I was saying, that, you know, when I remember once that I came across a young lady that was, you know, being peer pressured. I guess I've heard it in school. But you know, like they'd be like, "Girl, you dark, you too dark for that. Like you too dark. You don't look right. Like you ugly." You know, and comments like that will get to your mind. You know, your own people telling that you're ugly because you got a very, very dark skin. You know,
Yeah.
and that could really like do some do some real trauma to an African American person, especially teenagers who don't really understand, or maybe, you know, they've raised to hear their parents say that to them, you know, or they've heard family members or friends say that, listen, we don't know what planet you came from, but you way too dark.
Yeah.
I've heard comments like that, so like, you're way too dark, and make you feel
Yeah.
like you're a person. And you
Exactly.
know,
And you know, that's why many of these young people these days, they tend to commit suicide or to have suicidal attempts, in their mindsets because of these negative energy that these people have been impacting their lives with, saying that they're ugly, and so forth. So, and as well, when you look into all these aspects, in getting jobs or work in the workforce or so, because and that's why some of the times I think there are many youths as well, not only in the Caribbean area, but around the world, they have this issue. Like, and I think that's why maybe some of them they intend to do bleaching and to bleach their skin because
mm,
in the work in the working world, at certain workplace, they cannot get a job because of their dark skin tone. So I
that's
think
true.
that's
I've heard that.
that's also a factor. That's also a major factor as with regards to bleaching their skin because they hard for them to get a job. It's hard for them to be accepted, in the workforce. It's hard for them to be accepted in school or in the educational
Mm,
system. So I think there are is a kind of a two-way thing of thinking about this question or perception or yeah. So it's a kind of two-way thing of how we can perceive about this question because um, many have been turned down jobs, good jobs that they could have used to uplift their families, and to build themselves financially because of their skin tone, and these are
right.
things we as leaders or as entrepreneurs or owners of businesses, they need to look into such things and accept all. Doesn't matter the skin tone, doesn't matter the color of your skin. Yeah, I think everyone should deserve a fair chance in having an income stream in their family or so, or in their life.
Yeah, because of your skin tone, you should be judged. You know, it's unfortunate, but definitely you made some strong points. And I didn't even realize, like, in some countries, you know, I know in my people are very big on bleaching their complexion.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, and then it's kind of like backwards too, because then, you know, what is your perspective? Don't you see Caucasians? A lot of Caucasians want to become darker too. Like they serious about their tanning. They go tanning several. So you see, this is why our African Americans are so unique. We have some very beautiful complexions because even Caucasians want to have, you know, even our own Caucasians want to have darker complexions. We have to be grateful for that. You know, I have some tough skin, but I'm so grateful that I you know, even though I'm light skinned, you know. But I'm glad that I don't have that mentality against other African American. I think all African Americans have some type of beauty in them, and it doesn't matter if they're darker or lighter. So we definitely, you hit it on the nail with what you were saying in regards to, but but I'm not sure if you mentioned it before. Where do you think that actually came from though? Like where do you think African Americans got this, some of our African American people got this mindset that bleaching their skin tone is something that's needed? Like where do you think they got that mindset from? Like bleaching is something important, that they should have lighter complexion. Where do you think that came from?
I think it came from many sources. First of all, the first one I would say it came from you know, our slave masters. Back then they
Mm,
enforce it brutally. They trained us mentally and brainwash us with their system and way of thinking and the way how they want us to think that their race is the superior race, inferior to us. And so yes, that's one. Second,
mm,
the media has a role to play as well. They also brainwash us through the media because in many
mm.
advertisements, many other things, they use certain things to persuade us mentally that their skin color or their way of thinking is the better way of life, and because of that, we are drained spiritually, we're drained emotionally, and we ended up being not accepting who we are, and that's why we tend to bleach our skin and to try to look like them, try to become like them or to become them, you know. And even though many of us or many persons of color have bleached their skin, they can never be another race, so I think
No
that
matter what you were,
yeah, no
if you
matter
were
what they
born,
do,
basically they say if you were born black, you were born
yeah,
black.
that's true. No matter what they do, they can never be another race. They just have to accept and embrace who they truly are. They just have to accept who they are as a person, you know. Because as I said, we're all different people,
Mm.
But the only difference is that we're all of different color, and each color is unique in its own way, you know. And that's what we need to focus on mostly. That we're all unique, yeah, because we were created by a unique God.
Listen, putting on my Jamaican accent. Much love to Ja Rastafari. But we were created uniquely by our DNAs and our makeups of our parents and different yeah, so it's a beautiful thing that we were created uniquely, and it's great to have that mindset. I know for myself that no matter what, I've always felt confident about who I am. I've always felt confident about my body type, my color. You know how much people would like to have thick lips like this? I mean, they spend millions of dollars, Andre, to
That's
get
true.
thick lips like our black people. They like the structure of our face. We have this unique facial thing going on. You know, we got very unique hair. We could do all types of hairstyle with our hair. We're so creative. Like, our people is beautiful, man. Black is beautiful.
Exactly.
So I really enjoyed our conversation. You brought some strong points as well as myself, but this
And
is this
even
is something that I'm glad that we are able to talk
yeah,
about.
and at the
Oh,
end,
you were
come to
gonna say
think of it,
something?
yeah, and even though some people may say that some persons are not like beautifully on the outside appearance, but most of the times it's not just about the outside appearance, it's about the inside, and that's why you say we can't judge a book by its cover, we have to judge a book by the person inner um character, because I think that's the beauty of it all, our own characteristics. It doesn't have to be our physical appearance or how we look or whatever. It's about how we think, how we perceive about life, and what we do. You know. So we just have to just We just all have to embrace life, embrace love, embrace unity, and become as one as we are from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's right. And love, and that's the mindset that, that's the winner mindset. No matter what happens in life, um, as African American, when we step through that door, or even when we at home, but we are more prone to go through certain things more than other ethnic groups, I think. Like as soon as we step through that door and I mean, we're black, we still see even like some of our African Americans, young men, or even women too, they get pulled over sometimes by, um, officers. Sometimes the most simplest things they get in trouble for, and the other Caucasian person might not, and some of those things is just like we see that still happening. But the good thing is there is some good police officers, and I'm not one of those that are gonna be against all our the law enforcement, but we do have some good ones out there, and it's great that they help to put a light on our people. But there is some who, you know, unfortunately, a lot of African Americans. That's another thing. A lot of African Americans are very angry with law enforcement. Like they don't like police. Well, you mentioned the word police, or anything when it comes to law enforcement, they don't support it at all. And, and because of the pain and suffering that African Americans have been through and have seen and witnessed, and because with law enforcement they just don't like, and it puts such a bad name on our African American police officers, some of our own police officers or firemen, or they're in the force who are helping to support our community as well, and they get looked down on. They go through some stuff too. And I've heard where people they break their car windows. I mean, a lot of murders are happening to police officers right now. That's in the law. A lot of them want to resign, and even our own African American kind, because of so much of the pain and hurt that's going on right now. And some of it is very, I agree with some of the stuff being unfair though, because a lot of stuff that's going on, and black people, we are some fighters. Most of us, we know how to fight, and that's one of the main things that we know how to do. And it's great when we could fight together. As I saw a video once, and I think, what was it? I saw a video once, and it was great to see. It was it's a black man who was so angry, and he was getting ready to just like fight the police officer. And he's like, yo, I don't care about you, man. You see what they did to my people? You see what they did to Joy Ford? I don't care about you. And he was ready to put his anger down, and literally, and he was so angry. And the other African American guy stepped in. He said, hey, brother, man. And he put his hand around him, gave him a hug, like, listen, bro, don't do this. You're just going to get more trouble. I know the pain that you're going through, man. I know the pain that you're going through. It's not fair. I know the pain that you're going through, man. It's not right. This is the other. And he actually showed love to the African American police officer. And he said, on my brother's behalf, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry for this brother. Because, see, he don't purpose just spare him right now. He literally, the police officer said, listen, I'm going to let you slide because literally you should be getting in trouble for actually trying to threaten me and da-da-da-da and stuff like that. And, it's just great to see another African American. He actually stepped in on his behalf to say sorry, that he didn't mean to react in that way, you know. But you could see where the hurt coming from, and that's the type of, that was a great, that, like, wow, that was great to see that type of unity, because you rarely see that. You rarely see that happening, and I could see why, our people are very upset, and you know and we have some strong voices too. A lot of our black men constantly being, sometimes I feel, I have sons, and I could just imagine, I have sons, they go out every day, do their little thing, even though they're young, teenagers and stuff, but still, it's just like what they're going through, and what they're faced when they go out in the world as growing up to become young men. I only hope that they don't have to, you have to teach you how to respond to the law sometimes, because some of the things they will use against you, and you're not even really doing anything. Like, you could be minding your own business like the next person, and because you're black, you know and you have something unique about you, obviously they want to harass you, you know so
Yeah, yeah, that's really true, Diane. Yeah, because when I look into it, as I said, from back then in the slavery days up until now, we have been living in fear from then until now. So you can see
mm,
how we have been enslaved mentally from then until now, even
wow.
up until now. So because when like for instance a black man, before he leaves his home, he's in fear, thinking that he's gonna come back home to his family, you know, what's gonna happen to him on the road. He's gonna be pulled over by an officer, or what's gonna happen, you know, on his way to work. So these are some of the things really, really has negative impact in our daily lives and our daily thinking and perceptions of life itself.
Right, you hit some good points. I'm not sure if we got everything, but some, for how Instagram Live is, sometimes the videos tend to pause and freeze up on
Yeah.
us. But you definitely made some strong points about going out and in fear and stuff like that, and yeah, and that shouldn't be. But I think it do you I mean, I think it's a little bit better compared to what it used to be, but it's still something African Americans face today. And do you think it's gonna get any better for us? Like, with the world that we're living in, with all that's going on, do you think things will get any better for us?
Well, actually, I do think certain things will be changed once and for all as regards to the justice system around the world, because there are many blacks who have been imprisoned, prisoned without a trial, without an official case, you know, and I think such things like those will be changed drastically because of this worldwide crisis right now that's happening. But as regards to racism and those stuff, and the negative impact that the world have pushed on us, I don't think those things will be changed. As for now, racism will never be changed. It can never be stopped. There will be always persons who will be doing um, such things, and giving negative energy towards us, And but as for the justice system, as I said, I think that certain things, certain laws will be implemented, and certain things will be changed as where that's concerned.
Well, you stated some good points as well there. And I'm hoping that things will change. But yeah, I do think some things will change for African Americans. So far, we have seen some change over the years, which is good. We definitely have seen some change over the years. And we really came a long way thanks to a lot of our, our advocates that go out there and advocate for us, and they really go out there and they do their thing. They protest too. That protest, because they put their foot forward. They take a lot of risk as well to help make a point for our people, to help see change in our community. And that's a really great thing to see, that change has come a long way, and some things can change, and we hope that it will continue to change. But like you said, with the racism part, that will always be there. And that's simple nature, you know. What we have to do as African Americans is that those who are like that, unfortunately, in some countries or some states, um, they don't care about your personality. That's just how some people are just still stuck in that mindset where, that's just how it is. And, that's just their mindset. But as African American people, we can still erase that type of thinking. We can still erase that type of thinking, train our minds to think differently, so we don't get caught up in that type of racism thinking mentality. You know, you don't have to feed into their comments. A person call you, "Hey, what's up? You a black nigger," and stuff like that. You don't have to really feed into it. You know, and
Exactly.
um, and that's and I mean, you know, the words may they could say their words, but you don't have to let it get to you, because most people, when you step on their toes and you call me out of my name, you're gonna get the last word out. You're gonna get some heat. And as African Americans, some of it we just ignore, like, whatever. But at the same time, there are some people out there, they're not tolerating this, and you know what? I don't blame them. I don't blame them. you know, because you, I've, they could just, some people need to be put in their places,
Right,
but
exactly.
you can
And you know,
do
too,
it in
Ian,
another way,
too,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah. And too, there's a quote that says, we're not defined by people's opinions or the
Yeah,
opinions of others, but we're
right.
only defined by what we perceive of ourselves. Yeah, so we just have to think positive and be positive and and just live life to the fullest.
Yeah, and don't be too concerned. Like, I'm that type of person. Like, I couldn't care less what somebody say. Like, you could call me any name in the book, which it will go through one ears and out. And I'm glad that I had trained myself to be like that, because it's yeah, like, I'm not too concerned about the people's comments, or you're the type of person, you seem like that too, where you kind of try to stick to your own business. Like, you could just say whatever and just kind of roll off, like, okay, whatever. You just try to live life in the moment, try to do what you got to do. You go out there and mind your business as an African American, and you don't try to get all up into the he said, she said stuff. And that's pretty much it. You don't have to be feeding into the negative energy. We already have enough going on around us. So anyway, why would your comment matter to me? Because
Exactly.
listen, I already know who I am. you know i'm already I'm already confident about that. That was already impressed in me. So it really don't matter what you want to call me or what. They try to do things to catch African American attention, and that's what's going on around us right now, where we do see to catch our attention, because we see that going on. But our people are still beautiful, and we gonna go through it. So many of us um uh are dying, and based just because of being black. And people could just see, and there's no reason why you're just black. Like, I've came across that, where even on certain jobs, not all, but you might have a new unique swag. Andre, come on, you're a pretty handsome guy. You have a unique swag. This swaggy guy come up in here on the job, and this other feel like, wow, he's pretty. And you see these type of nonsense happening even
Sure.
in certain employments too. And sometimes your own African American people, like, why are you hating for? Like, we supposed to be on the same. You're not probably thinking about that, but they might think about it like, hey, they have something over you. Like, I've seen African Americans, and you see this a lot with women. I don't know if you see it, but I see this a lot with women. A lot of African American women, sometimes they want to talk about the next black girl, how she look, how her shape is, this and that, all about. They get all up in the, and it's so foolish to me. It's so foolish how they gonna be talking like this. Look at the, instead of uplifting your other sister, uplift your other sister. And everybody has things about them that needs to be worked on. That's real. But that's why, that's another thing, like you were saying, with the segregated thing. And I hope that, those, like, this is why we're talking about this, because we hope that we could share some really deep insights with people out there that could actually use this as a resource and a positive tool to help them to want to join together. Because when we talk about these things that's going on, and we these are the real gut things that people don't really, not even in families, people don't really talk about this, but when we talk about these things, it helps to break the ice. It helps to break those hurtful barriers, those negative barriers. It helps to hurt that, so that we able to more come together now. We're more open to open up and to talk about certain issues, instead of feeling like we have to keep our mouth shut, when it comes to certain things that we going through as African Americans. And unfortunately, we hope that some people, we know not everybody's gonna be down with us and not gonna like our conversations, but overall, we're using this as a positive tool, as a resource platform to help be like the real talk show that we talk about anything and mostly everything,
That's
to
right.
help others, open up too,
We got some comments here. Just someone commented.
Okay. Yes. So we see someone here. Hi. Absolutely. And we hope that, these type of conversations that we'll be able to get other people involved. And these are the conversations, like I said, Andre breaks this, right?
Right. Let's break our chains. Break the chains.
Break some chains. Yes. Those chains to be broken. Absolutely. And we need those chains to be broken. Oh yeah, but you know what? I tell you one thing, African Americans, we keep sticking together and we get through it through the end of our lifetime. I actually, let's see here. Hi. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you for joining. I think it's kind of
Have a
close to
blessed
that.
day.
Yeah, I'm getting close to that.
Okay. I tried to add her in, but for some reason it's not. Let me see. I tried to do it. I'll send the request again. Let's see if it goes through. Sometimes with
Yeah. Maybe if the person actually is input on certain things, we can talk about it.
okay, so far I don't know what's going on with this thing, but I send the request. Maybe sometimes Wi-Fi could be slow on the other end, but definitely I enjoy this conversation. Well, it's been real talk. This is we hit the on some very important points here, and we plan to have more conversations like this. But that's the end of our show today, guys. That is the end of
Yeah, and stay
our
tuned for 8 p.m.
Yes, we have another hot topic coming up on the
Yeah.
Grapevine talk show at 8 p.m. later on today. Bear with us. Sometimes with Wi-Fi it could be a little bit shaky, but we definitely look for 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We plan to be on with another hot topic, and it's going to be in regards to something with relationships, relationship and dating, some really hot topic and some really good conversation we'll be talking about. So tune in. It's been real, y'all. It's great. Thank you, Andre. We had a great
You're welcome.
conversation.
Thank you.
You are so awesome.